Hello everybody, it's Dean, Art Club. Today we're on the letter S and I'm going to be doing one of my favourite topics, which is Star Wars. I've been a big fan of the Star Wars franchise ever since it started way back in the 1970s. So we're going to be drawing some Star Wars babies, which I've created, and I'm going to show you those. I've created 6 Star Wars babies from some of the classic characters from the original movies: Princess Leia, R2, Chewie, 3PO, Darth Vader, and a baby Luke Skywalker with his little dummy lightsaber. So this is all done on an iPad, and I will cover some iPad drawings a little bit later, and the programs that I like to use when I'm doing drawings via an iPad. But for today, I'm going to create 2 of these little characters on paper using traditional pencil and pens for you to copy at home. So if everybody's ready, pencils, let's get sketching. Let's start off with a Star Wars looking S. Bear with me with this one because you know I'm not great when it comes to letters. This will do. It kind of looks like a futuristic S, which is the main thing. There we go. That'll be S for Star Wars babies. These are fairly simple to do. So let's start off first with Princess Leia. I'll do the 2 characters. Princess Leia will be my first character. So what I'm going to do is start off with her head. So the head needs to be the biggest part. So we do a slightly bigger head. She's got this lovely fringe, which we do on the top as well, the top of her hair. Now, Princess Leia has this rather unusual hairstyle, which looks like almost like a loaf of bread. It's round-ish, little dent in here, and then we do this little piece in the middle. The eyes, when you're doing a baby character, need to be huge. So absolutely massive eyes. And then we have a really tiny little, cute lip. No nose detail at this stage. I'm going to put in this little spiky part here. This is so that I can do some highlighting and shade on the hair area. So the pose for Princess Leia. And the characters have to be smaller. So the arms are going to be really tiny. Like so. And then a little, almost baby type gown for our Princess Leia. And we want one hand, really small, tiny fingers, and then we'll do the sleeve, and then the same for this one here, but she's going to be holding something here, which is a remote control, and then we do the little hands again, and the shadow of the sleeve, so you can see the proportions are slightly smaller, more childlike. And then we do her first shoe, And she can have slightly bigger legs. Shoe. And then the back part of this outfit. And that is our shape for baby Princess Leia. Now let's move on to C-3PO. It's going to be the same kind of principle for C-3PO. So we will do, in proportion to Princess Leia, we will do his head first. Nice, big, round head. Now then, C-3PO is going to have a lot of the detail that the character has. So I'm going to put a little bit more of the back of his head in, and he has this little detail piece around his head, which is like a band. He has these two triangle points, and then really big, huge big eyes, two massive big circular eyes, and then he has this little piece here, and then that connects up to a very tiny, much smaller, although he already had a very small mouth. That's our 3PO, baby 3PO head, and then we need to do a little neck piece that he had. It's the same kind of thing. It's to make the body much more baby-like. So for 3PO, he has this little circular part here on his body where there would be some wires showing through, and his robot hands or arms, which are just tiny squares. And he was always quite a worrisome robot. And then we need to make the bottom part go all the way around here. We're going to make it almost sort of like a giant napping. And add a little bit for the leg. And for the other leg. Here. And then finally his little fingers. Little tiny square robot fingers. There's a little bit of detail we need to add on this part. Here, so I'll get that in. It's a central column that goes off towards the end, and then we can do his little tiny legs. So we start off with the top leg, keep that nice and chunky. He has this little circular bit here, we're doing the side of the leg, and then his robot baby foot, the shoe, and then the same here, bigger, chunkier top half of the leg, and this little joint part, and then the bottom half of the leg, which is broken up by his foot, like so. And then here, there will be these wires. C-3PO's got these little wires at the front of him. That's our 3PO character. So I'm going to make this quick, and I will speed up this part as I outline all of the characters. So then we have our two characters. Now all that's left is to start to colour these in. So the Princess Leia character, or baby Princess Leia I should say, is going to feature these colours here. I have a light blue and a grey for doing her costume. In the movie it's white. We can make white look a little bit more pleasing with these two colours. I have a black and a brown for the hair, and a very, very nice light colour for the face. Actually, we'll keep this colour here as well. So they're my colours. So let's get started on our Princess Leia character. I'm going to start by using the darker colour. So we will have a little bit of the black on the outside, and I'm going to make it much darker here. So we're using the watercolours, remember, we will be activating these pencil crayons, or these watercolour pencil crayons with water. So we can afford to get some medium tones, as well as, this is that little strange bit in the centre, which needs to be darker. So we need to get some mid-tones in, as well as some dark tones. And what we're going to do is connect that up, make that nice and dark. Yeah. And then we start to add the brown into this. So we'll colour the brown in as it stands. So slightly darker here. Now overlap, add some of the brown over this medium grey, because it will just give us a much darker brown, which will then blend in with this colour here. You want the brown in the centre, and then slightly lighter as we go up here. So that's the principle. It looks really messy. When we got our watercolours on this, it's going to look really good. So darker with the black here, and then with our brown colour, we will go in between these little lines, which are kind of like the roots of the hair, and again overlap the brown with the black, and we'll have the brown go all the way over this part here, and then that will follow suit as we do this part of the fringe and this part of the hair. Carefully getting your pencil nice and dark as we go into these little zigzaggy areas of highlight. Medium colour, so I can make a slightly lighter here, as we do a little bit of the darker colour, just for some variation here, and then overlap that with our brown. So this area here that's going to be the shade is going to be much darker, and then the brown on the outside, brown on the outside, brown on the outside, as we use a little bit of the black just to connect those two together. So that's Princess Leia's hair done. Now we can move on to her face, and I'm going to use a very, very light wash of this fleshy colour. You'll notice I've left her eyebrows and her eyelashes, they will come in much later. We will shade a little bit darker here, and then we get really light as we come into the centre of the face. So just a little bit lighter, and then darker again. Just on this little outer corner, just on this part here, and then also where the hair is, we can make that a little bit darker. We need to do her little hands while we have this colour. Hand, hand, hand. Let's just make that a little bit stronger here, and in here, actually a little bit stronger around the eye. As we blend that colour in. And now I can move on to the costume itself. these parts I really like because it's quite simple. We add the light colour blue, just little squiggles of that, to the sleeves, and then to this part here, which is the front of her costume, and then we will do the same. They're almost just like little wrinkles. That's all we're putting in, is little creases, and a little bit here for the shoe. And then we get our grey. So we use a darker colour grey just to do any shadowing. So the same kind of effect, but on the inside, or the outside I should say. I want a little bit more underneath the arm here because that would be in shadow, and maybe a little bit of grey just underneath the head, just to give that a little bit of a shadow. So definitely more grey here on this arm and on this section here, and then we will have grey here just to represent the shadow of where the jacket is going onto the trousers, and a little bit of this grey at either end of the boot, or the booties, because she's a little baby character, and a little bit here mixed in with the blue just for the neck detail. We have the remote control, which again that can be black. Maybe a little bit of highlight on that. And look at the sleeves as well, which need to be shaded in. I can add a tiny little bit of black just to here, and that will mix in. Oh, and then this little colour at the back there. So that's Princess Leia. They're all my colours. I'll keep them all together nice and neat so I know what colours we are using for her. For 3PO, or C-3PO, I have got, I know it seems crazy, but 3 different colours of yellow. But I'm primarily going to use this light yellow for most of C-3PO, and then a darker yellow, which is probably this colour here, because it has the most difference, and this one, just to do the shading work, and then another one, maybe just for the eye. So let's get the base colour done first. I'm going to leave 2 little circles of light, just like we did for Princess Leia's eye, as we colour in the whole of his face. And I will keep it lighter in the centre, as we have done with baby Princess Leia. I think C-3PO is a fun character. He's always been one of my favourites in the movie, along with R2-D2. I think that they are absolutely brilliant. Let's just get this section done. Now I will go a little bit lighter around here. Again, just for a little bit of highlight and effect. And the arms, all yellow. Press nice and firmly, because he is metallic. So we want a depth of colour for our 3PO, our baby 3PO. There we are, arms, and then the little tiny fingers. Let's get those coloured in. Now, this inner circle, we will do the same colour yellow, but not the outer circle. We'll save that for something else. This part will definitely be the same colour yellow. We can keep it a little bit lighter as we go towards the centre, and darker on the outskirts. The leg can also have a little bit of light in the centre, and we are just doing these parts. So the shoe, that part of the leg, this part of the leg, and the rest we are going to leave to do another colour. This one here is not going to have that element of highlight, so we can go straight in and just colour the whole thing in. his little shoe, or his little foot. And that's 3PO. Now we go in with our darker colour. So that's going to be for this part of the eye. So he has that little triangle. And there's usually one at the bottom as well. But because he's a little baby, I'm not going to add that part in. So then this part of detail, this little band around his head, can be in a stronger yellow. And we will make this part here lighter yellow. This part here has to be a stronger yellow. And what I'm going to do is mix that also with the lighter yellow. So we get a more intense colour just on the back of his head, because that would be more shadowed. So I keep hold of both of my colours. And this little neck detail is going to be dark. This circle here is going to be dark. And this little band, again, we'll keep a little bit of light in the middle. We may lose that when we come to colour it in. And this little band here, that's dark. This piece in the middle of the leg is dark. And the bottom of his boots is dark. Let's add a little bit more detail to 3PO. So with our shading, we will make the underarm a little bit darker, top of the arm on the inside darker, so just press really firmly. You can ignore his little hands, and the legs I'm going to leave as they are. We will add a little bit more detail, a little bit darker to this outer part of the body. As we bring that round, everything else pretty much stays the same. I can put 3PO back. Now, remember I had another colour yellow. Now, you could do whatever you want with this, but I just wanted to make his eyes a little bit different. So this is my third colour yellow, which is a little bit more of an orangey yellow. So if you have an orange, just add a little bit of the orange in with that yellow. And I will also use that at the bottom of the head here. This part here, we leave until the end, like we do with Princess Leia, to add all the detail. So I am ready to start to fill in these characters. So I have with me my small brush, my paper towel or kitchen roll, and then I have my water, which I'm going to use to activate these pencil crayons or watercolor pencil crayons. So let's start with the hair. So as you know, I like to, initially I have the ritual of dipping my brush in the water and then just dabbing it off lightly. And we're going to start off with the brown. So not too wet and not going into the dark, just the brown for now. Just lightly go over that. And clean my brush. This is very, very wet. I want it to be very, very wet as we do this lighter part in here. And now I can start to go into the black while my brush is still very wet. That moves into the brown, and then we have the slightly lighter black. Merge these two together, the black into the brown, and then the same with the bottom. I'm hoping this is going to do it. No, I need to add a bit more water. I'm not going to have it super wet. I just want to activate this mid-tone colour so that we can get that into the brown. So bring the brown into the black, and then we just do that light outer edge part, like so. And then we want the middle part. So that's a mixture of brown and the black. And we have one of her buns. I think they're called braids. It's like a long piece of hair. Her hair is really, really long. And it's just like wrapped and turned to get it into this shape. Start with the brown. And just activate that as close as we can get to these little areas that I've left white. Put that in. And then we go into the black. And then I'll start to bring the brown into the black. Spin my brush around because there'll be a little bit more water on the other side. Bring those two colours together. And then the same again for the other side. So let's start off with the light colour brown. Let's move that. So we start with the top. And then we come in where these little jagged areas are. Still keeping only with the brown. Now, clean my brush, pure water, and we've got a lot more water here as I make this a little bit watery as we go into the black. And there's a little ball of light just here. Now, I can activate the brown on this part. And then that all goes into the black. Clean my brush, dab off any excess. Activate the brown first, and then into the black. Clean my brush, brown, into black, being careful not to touch the face or the costume. And there we have Princess Leia's hair. Now, thoroughly clean our brush. While I'm waiting for that to dry, I'm going to move on to the costume. So we will very carefully activate the blue. And remember, we just need to make that look like little creases in her costume. So we'll just soften over that with the water. Clean my brush again as we do the top half of her little sleeve. And these little creases here in the trousers. And you can see that it's a nice little effect for a watercolour, just to soften up blue. Almost has like an icy feel to it. Now, same again for the grey. But we're going to move the grey around a little bit more because your grey is as much as it's for creases, it's also your shadow colour. So we put a nice big shadow underneath the costume like so. And then also this part here. I should have enough just to move this little crease on the side. I'm going to get a little bit more water as we come onto the little boots. And just pull that colour across on both sides. And let's do the darker colours. So we have that little bit there, and also on the sleeve. The sleeve detail. Now then, if you remember, there was also a little bit here around the neck. We gave her some shadow. Just like so. Now with my super clean brush, so I'm going to just rinse that around thoroughly. Again, tap off any excess as we start to do the face. Now it should be relatively wet for the face area. So let's start off with the dark on both sides. Being careful to avoid that brown if you can, as we start to blend that into the lighter colour. And the same here, around the eye, that top part, being careful not to get the brown from the hair. And just move that about until your brush feels as though there is no more water, and then we can go with a little bit more, but still keep it relatively wet for this one. We do the centre part, just above the eye, and then we make that darker. And then all of this colour here. A tiny little bit more, just as we do these little parts here. Soften that a bit further. So we have a lovely base colour for our princess. A little bit more water. The hands is very, very slight. Wonderful. That's our base work done for our princess. Ooh, one more little thing. The remote control device. Clean my brush thoroughly because we're moving on to a much lighter character. And the brush can be fairly wet again for C-3PO because his colour is predominantly all this lovely yellowy colour. So we'll do the light colour first, as we just blend that around. Get it nice and light here, just on this middle section. Naturally lighter. A little bit more water and dab off on the excess. So I have quite nice thick paper, which I like to work on. I find it's a little bit more absorbent, but even now I find that sometimes the colours, the paper like rises a little bit, and I think that's a natural thing. So we have to blend the dark with the light, or more importantly the light with the dark on the arms. Clean my brush as we go across to the other side. So we start off with the light yellow and we bring that over the top of the dark. Light yellow over the dark until we get to the end. Little fingers, let's get those done. And then this body work, let's start off with the light colour first. All of the light colour, and then we can move into the dark. And we can take that blend that into the light yellow. And we have the bottom part, nice and yellow. We kept that a little bit light on the inside. We'll do the light yellow legs, because remember the legs are slightly different. There isn't too much of that detail. Clean my brush as we move on to the other side. Top leg, we left a little bit of light, or a little bit of white in the centre. The shoes, and now without even cleaning my brush, we go straight into a darker colour and get the dark just softened in. And we have the dark here, remember? That needs to be activated, so we blend that up. Keep that little light strip in the middle. And we have this little piece here, the yellow in the middle. So just soften this up. Move that colour around. I should have enough to back part of the head, which is naturally darker because that's in a lot of shadow. Now we move on to the eye pieces. So we have this part here, make that nice and strong. You can take that a little bit around the eye. And then we have their eyes themselves. So a nice wash over here. And the same with eye number 2. Our baby C-3PO character, just do this little part in the middle. This is darker. Clean my brush as I do the final piece, which is this little yellow piece here. So I'm happy with how these characters are looking at the moment. Now we need to do all the detail parts, which is the finishing off parts, which is a really nice part to do. So I need my marker pen and I need a black felt tip pen. So ideally we would leave time for these to dry, which I'm assuming that they have. So I need to do Princess Leia's huge big eye in black, like so, and then eye number 2. Like so. I'm just going to finish that off by just kneading up that circle, just to make sure that it looks like a circle. And that little part there. Now, Princess Leia needs lashes. She's a little baby, but I need to make her look really, really cute. A few little lashes. Now here's the really sweet part. We can use a pink pencil. I'm going to sharpen that a little bit. And I'm going to give her a little baby nose, which is just a little pink triangle, and then we'll have the same pink for the lip, and we will add a tiny little bit of that pink just to the cheek, so very, very lightly, just circle a small amount, just so she has a little cute rosy baby cheek. I will finish that off by just using my brush, and I'm going to take another colour, red, not a super strong red actually, that's the wrong one, more like an orangey red, and it's the tip of taking off a little bit of that colour using your brush. And again, with your paper, you can see how strong that's going to come off. So that's how they're showing at all, which is a good sign. Now, second time, well, maybe I haven't got any water on the brush. Is that showing? Yes, I just needed to sharpen a little bit. So very, very carefully just use that just to fill in the lip area. We're not going to do the cheek at all. I'm going to use my pen just to draw in the hair here, like so. And we also need a red felt tip pen just to do a little dot on the remote control. Now 3PO has a little bit more detail to him, and for 3PO I need an orange felt tip pen as well as my black felt tip pen, and we can also have a red and a blue colour. So what I need to do for him first of all is to get these wires here another piece of red here. So we just do little squiggles to indicate the wires. Let's put that away because I don't need that anymore. And then the same with the blue. And they go in between. And oops. Then I can get the black felt tip pen, and this is a thinner felt tip pen. You've noticed I'm gonna shade in this area here, carefully shading in between the wires so that you can see them. That's one of the coolest parts of C-3PO is that middle section of his body, and even our baby 3PO has it exactly the same. So we follow that around to keep that nice and dark. Make sure there's no white pieces showing. And that replicates him rather nicely. So I can add a little bit more black in here. A little bit of black on the joint there, and then also here. I don't need any black here, but I need to go in his mouth. I need to do this little line here and here, and then I'm going to put in this detail on the top of the head. And it's strange because it almost looks like a baby bonnet, which he didn't have a baby bonnet. We'll put this little circle here because he has that little circle, and I will do the dot of the eye actually, a little circle, and then with our orange pen we just carefully just do these lines going down to give C-3PO his eyes. Don't go over the circle, go around. So very carefully just do these lines. And I'm going to add a little tiny bit more black just to here, behind here, here, and here, and also above the top of the leg, like so. This little circle in there. C-3PO has so many details, you could spend ages adding all the little parts to it, but it's a baby C-3PO, so I think we can step away from it. So lastly, or almost lastly, you know I have this shadowy blacky grey pencil, which is great. Let's put a little bit of shadow around these characters, just to give them a base, like so. Be more shadow in the middle, and we'll make it darker at the back, darker around the feet, like so. And then the same for Princess Leia, the baby Princess Leia. She will have the same kind of thing. Make that nice and dark here, nice and dark here, then fade that out. So she's got a little base, and I think bases are really cool. Now we can use our paintbrush, relatively wet for this one here, and just manipulate this so it's the shadow around. Add a little bit more water because I want to move that into the light grey area, which is here. Just so you have a little bit of a graduated base. And then the same for Leia. So it's darker on the inside, like so. lighter as it fades out. So there's our two little characters. All that's left for me to do is my usual, and that's to map out our letter, which was S, and I chose to do Star Wars babies, two different characters. And just as a brief recap, so a baby character has a larger head and smaller body parts, a little bit more chunky in terms of how we draw the legs in comparison to the head. They're much shorter with a big head, and then we just put the base in for something to stand on. I hope you've enjoyed today's sketch as much as I've enjoyed doing it. These are two super cute characters. You could add this to any of your favourite characters. If you've got a favourite character from Star Wars, just think about the same principles, a nice big head and then the smaller body. You can even create the extended universe, as you saw me do with Chewbacca and R2-D2 and some of your other favourites from Star Wars. But for now, that's it from me. Tomorrow we have a new letter and a new drawing. Until then, take care. Bye.